What's going on, my beautiful people of Ireland? We got another banger again here today, guys. Welcome back to County Gains News Media Network. Of course, as always, guys, the most invigorating and interesting news media channel in the world, of course. This video today we have is by News Talk, and it's called Why Are Irish People Not Buying Electric Cars? I'm gonna just start straight off by saying cause electric cars are gay and lame. There, I've said it, guys. Teslas, all that stuff, I used to think were kind of cool. They're actually gay and very lame. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. We're gonna get into this one. Let's see the economic reason, because we know the social reason. I just explained the social reason. Let's see the economic reason why electric cars are not being bought by Irish people. Much love to all my Irish people not buying electric cars. Never buy electric cars. Electric cars suck. Let's go.
The headline issue is electric vehicles down by a quarter. What's happening?
Yeah, so I mean, it's always interesting, Ivan, because the first half of the year really sets the tone for the rest of the year. I mean, even though we have the split registration in now, is it since 2013, people still buy predominantly the sales are at the first half of the year. So essentially the market is up slightly. It's up about 2% on last year. It's still down 7% on 2019. That's where the car industry would like to be back to, at least. But yeah.
After the lockdown, all information came to fruition. Everybody started researching things a lot more. Now we know a lot more, if you guys know what I mean, okay? And now the truth has been exposed about electric cars and all this nonsense.
Down what in 2019?
About 7%.
Significant.
Yeah, it's still, they're still trying to
because
get back.
Because we heard so much that people saved money over COVID, and, there's 158 billion of savings out there, household savings and other savings. You'd think they'd be changing their car.
Yeah, but I think the thing was...
Why is this car so weird? What the hell?
But I think the thing was, you had savings and then you had the cost of living crisis, and the two have played off each other, and people are a bit wary about spending money. And I'd say you'd see that across the board.
And it's a big
terms
ticket
of
item.
Spend.
It's not like buying an ice cream.
Absolutely.
Okay, so give me the stats.
Yeah, so electric car sales are down 25% in the first half of the year.
Good.
So essentially we sold, I think it was 10,700. There's about 14,000 sold last year. But in terms of actually market share, I think that's probably the most worrying. So it's only making up 13.6% of the new cars sold now are
good. They're lame. People who drive electric cars get, I mean, let's not say that, but they're just lame cars, guys. You know what I mean? It's just like, bro, like your flipping grandma drives the shit. Like, you want like a car that guzzles diesel. A real flipping just, a real masculine car, guys. Something that screams, I'm insecure, but I have enough money to be insecure, basically. You need enough money for a car like that, right?
all electric. This time last year, that figure was about 18.5.
Jesus.
So, I mean, like, basically what we've seen is sort of, doubling of market share over the past number of years. I suppose there was an expectation it would do it again. It hasn't. They seem to have hit a wall in that sense, electric car sales.
In the industry, my understanding is they called something about a gap between the kind of early adopters, people who are into the environment, into new tech, and then the mainstream.
Yeah, nerds.
And that this happened with...
Dude, if you drive an electric car, you're a Poindexter. Let's bring that word back, Poindexter. You know what that is? People who wouldn't get picked in a five-a-side, guys. You know what I mean? Freaking nerd.
mobile phones, and people aren't panicking with it. So what do you attribute this drop to?
Yeah, there's a number of things. There is that whole early adopter. That's where the surge in sales came from at the beginning. The mainstream buyer doesn't want the inconvenience of having to charge. They want to cross the country with the same convenience that they can do in petrol and diesel. That can't be replicated unless the public charging infrastructure is there. It's not in places. It's very patchy. That's a big issue. There's a lot of concern around the infrastructure that probably is unwarranted, but it's not there enough to convince would-be buyers. There's also the issue of trade-in values. There's been a lot of volatility around new car prices. Tesla cut their prices, other manufacturers responded. Then we had competition from China. All of this has reduced new car prices. Now, when you bring down new car prices, you bring down the value of second-hand cars. As a result, trade-in values are quite low at the moment on EVs. People are reluctant. There's some dealers reluctant to take them. All you need to hear is one bad story like that, Ivan, and you think, do you know what? I'm not going EV this year.
Well, a couple of things on the trade-in value. First of all, Jim Power and Arup did a major report for the SIMI about 2 years ago, and they said it was vital if we were to get sort of a wider use of it, to have a second-hand market. So people who couldn't afford a new car, that was the way to go. It seems to be the opposite effect. And I've two texts here in relation to the trade-in value. Sean from Westport says, electric cars are much, much too expensive. What are they worth after 8 years? Next to nothing. They're a status symbol for rich people. And Eamon in Kilkenny says, would you buy a
Love that status symbol for rich people. That's funny.
car with no trade-in value, with the prospect of having it written off if you had a fender bender? These are the kind of problems being encountered by EV owners who are saying now it's not worth the risk. Is this myth or truth?
It's a combination of both. One is fueling the other. It's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy at this stage, because the problem is, if there's an issue with trade-in values, and there has been because of the new car prices being reduced quite drastically and the volatility that's there, right?
Okay.
If people, as I said, have a bad experience, they tell somebody else. We then have a lot of myths and misinformation about batteries. You know, it's very rare to replace a battery. It really is. And
That's not always the case, because how many times do you replace a battery in your little thing here? Or how many times do you replace a battery in your laptop? Quite often, guys, let's just say, okay? Especially if you have it for more than 3 or 4 years.
And people don't realise that. The AA did a survey and they discovered, you know, there's huge issues around what people understand about the lifetime of the batteries.
Well, what is the lifetime of a battery?
Well, I mean, there's no reason that the new...
There we go, stuttering. Not answering a direct question with an answer. You know, it's probably about 10 years, maybe 5 years, maybe 5 years. Couldn't see a battery lasting longer than 5 years, guys. It's impossible. You know, replace it after 5 years. At least be honest with the people.
Batteries, in terms of they have battery management systems, they are made in a modular format. So if anything goes wrong, you can replace components
That's the greatest non-answer I've ever heard.
of them. I mean, they're now saying they should last the lifetime of a car.
160, 150,000?
They're guaranteed to 160,000 kilometres.
160,000 kilometers. Hold up a sec, guys. Hold on. Hold that. For a shitty electric car. You see that car out there, right there? You see that car? That's a blue Toyota Auris. I have 400,000 kilometers on that car. Never broken down once. 400,000. So nearly triple, and it will get triple the amount of mileage and kilometers on a shitty little Tesla or a shitty little gay electric car. 400k on that whip. Alright, Japan, go Japanese always, guys. Japanese cars over flipping engineer their cars, and they're unbelievable.
And 8 years for most. Some car manufacturers give warranties up to 10 years. The other thing to remember, though, if you're buying a second-hand one, you don't have to buy it blind. You can actually get a battery check, which will give you a complete state of health of every cell in that battery, how long it's left. And I don't think people realise that. So they're not rocking up to a dealership, buying a car and thinking, Jesus, I hope it lasts till Christmas. Okay. You can do that, but people don't know this.
So where is this...
Like, everybody buys second-hand cars. Nobody buys cars brand new, for the most part, you know.
All in relation to the government's plan by 2030 to have something like 846,000 EVs. Is that in tatters? Because ZEVI and was in place, you know, who gave a grant of $5,000 for cars, and that was cut. Are they going to look at all that area again?
Well, the government have said the reason they cut the grants is to put it into the charging infrastructure. The problem with that is they haven't communicated that message effectively, and the charging infrastructure still needs investment.
There's no charging infrastructure. If you drive from Galway to Dublin, you can't drive back on any electric car unless you wait 8 hours. Who has time for that? I don't. I need to make money. Next question, please, guys. Next car, please.
So that's an issue at the moment. In terms of the government plans, they decided they were going to ban, if you cast your mind back to 2030 or to 2020, they were going to ban new petrol and diesel cars by 2030. As a result, they believed that there was going to be this huge surge of sales towards the end of the year, or towards the end of the decade. The plan was for 845,000 electric cars. Basically, 60% of all carbon emissions overall reduction is coming from transport. The heavy lifting is being done by electric cars. If they don't...
That's fake news.
...sell those cars, they're in trouble. And the problem...
This is just a load of just nonsense, guys. Like the way these women talk and the way this man talks, it's like flipping, it's like they have no clue what's going on, guys. You know what I mean? It's just completely just wazoo, you know what I mean? Just completely off with the flipping fairies. Who is this, guys? June EV sales. Hold on a second, guys. Who's this lady? Ger Herbert. Ivan Yates is joined by Ger Herbert. Like, bro, she's just a saleswoman. She's a saleswoman. Motoring editor, Sunday Independent. Yeah, she's sponsored by sponsored by Electric Ireland, you know.
Problem is, at this stage, nearly every car sold from next year to the end of the decade would have to be electric, which is not going to happen at 13%
Well,
market
and
share.
the thing I noticed with Greens is I think they're kind of ditching the EV thing. They're going for road space allocation, active transport, public transport. Now, the Greens may not be in government, but I noticed that the whole carrot of an EV is being replaced with the stick of road space allocation, which in Dublin and places like that is quite unpopular. One of the things that I was just wondering about, you would know, is cheap import Chinese. This has happened with solar panels where there's a lot of overproduction and they might get these BYD cars and dump them on the market at a fraction of the cost. Do you think that'll happen?
We're selling solar powered cars. Like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in the world. Ireland gets like 3 days of sunny weather in the whole year.
You see, I mean, the EU have said they're going to impose tariffs on Chinese cars, but there's
Of course they're going to impose tariffs on Chinese
a
cars.
lot of room for manoeuvre with Chinese prices at the moment. I don't think the tariffs are going to make that much difference. Now, it hasn't been confirmed. They're now in talks. That hasn't been definitely agreed on. The problem with putting tariffs on Chinese cars is it could backfire on European car manufacturers. A lot of European car manufacturers like BMW and Mercedes actually build cars in China. So suddenly then, if you're going to start imposing taxes on cars coming from China, you're going to start taxing your own cars. I think at the moment that the EU are in a kind of a rock and a hard place. If they want this transition towards electric cars, they have to be grateful of anything that comes in, particularly, well-built Chinese ones that are affordable, because European manufacturers are not matching that. But they also have this protectionism, obviously, towards their own European car industry. Germany and France is obviously heavily dependent on cars. So I think they have an issue there of trying to keep both happy.
Bro, listen, like I said, fake and gay. I love you guys all. Stay free to not buy electric cars unless, unless you wear the flip and skirt in your family, let's just say, as a man. Okay? I love you all, man. Stay free, and I'll see you all in the next one, guys. Peace.